everybody. We're back. It's Thom and Amanda and our Halloween movie madness. We're talking about all the Halloween movies. Now, technically, we're here to talk about Halloween 4, but after the end of Halloween 3, there's a couple things that occurred to me, which is how bad the plan was in that movie. Mean, crazy Halloween tycoon creates masks that he's going to distribute to children that when a signal is broadcast on the network television, all the children wearing the masks will devour their heads and release snakes and bugs and critters to attack other people. So overall, just at that level, I think it's a fine plan as evil plans go. The first big problem is this is a national or international plot. There are time zones. So that's going to be a problem. So some kids on the East Coast are going to be trick-or-treating at one time, and then the trap will be sprung, and for some reason, the movie wants us to believe that the West Coast will have no knowledge that this is coming their way. You're not going to hit everybody. The time zones are going to kill you. So, or keep you from killing the kids, actually. So that's a problem. There's also the problem of, to stop this, the hero has to contact the TV people, and we'll just leave it at that. That's about the logic level they leave it at. He'll need to contact the TV people to stop the broadcast. But the TV people would mean ABC, CBS, and NBC. And he seems to be able to do that in the movie, which makes no sense. He's on the West Coast, so it's already too late for the East Coast. They're screwed. But the biggest problem I had that I really wanted to mention last time, and I forgot. So this guy, he makes Halloween masks. He's going to kill all these kids. And in doing so, he's going to sabotage his own business. This is it for him. He's going to kill these kids and it's over for the business. Oddly, when they're in his factory, he has loads of the cursed bad masks in the factory on the shelves. This is the night. This is bad planning on his part. You have inventory sitting on the shelves. For what? Tomorrow it's over for you. You're going to jail. Or at the very least, the trap has been sprung and these masks are now useless. So I just had to point out very bad planning. And it might just be that he's an old coot who didn't think things through. That said, it is now time to go to Halloween 4, the return of Michael Myers. And this is where Michael Myers is back in because Halloween 3 sucked it up at the box office. So we're bringing Mike back. I believe this was on the anniversary of the original film. And so the premise is that Michael Myers is returning to Haddonfield because that's what he does. Let's remember, we left off, Michael Myers and Dr. Loomis had both been blown up and supposedly were both killed.
Michael.
Turns out Michael Myers was just very badly burned and he's been in a coma ever since. So, of course, everyone at the hospital who takes care of him are like, well, he's harmless. No worries. And because it's Halloween, for some reason, we always feel the need to transfer him to another hospital on Halloween. And, of course, Michael Myers is playing possum, and he kills his way out of the transferring ambulance and starts heading to Haddonfield.
He's gone. He was here, but he's gone.
Lo and behold, Loomis is not dead either.
Even if by some miracle Michael is conscious, his muscles will be totally useless.
You're talking about him as if he were a human being.
Now where are you going?
Haddonfield.
Beyond this, there's not a ton to sum up, because it's your typical Halloween. He heads to Haddonfield to kill people, but mainly to kill his family. The one change here is that Jamie Lee Curtis did not participate in this movie, and so her character was unceremoniously killed off approximately 1 year earlier, leaving her daughter, named after the actress, Jamie. They named the little girl Jamie. Michael Myers is coming to get his little niece and kill her. And he runs around Haddonfield the whole movie trying to kill her. And in the end, it comes to a dark, I think maybe my favorite ending of a Halloween movie. Maybe even more than the first one, because the first one is where they kill him, but he disappears. I really like the ending of this movie, which we will get to. But it's basically the typical, he comes to town to kill people, Loomis chases him, and in the end, they seem to dispatch him. So, I will turn to my wife. What is your first thoughts on this movie?
First thoughts are still the psychiatric people, still for some reason, cannot fathom at all that Loomis is telling the truth. Even after having two horrible encounters in Haddonfield previously, and him escaping from the hospital and all the deaths that have occurred, they still think that Loomis is
Cuckoo.
crazy. Yeah, and they think that he's just over exaggerates when it comes to Michael Myers. And even though like all the death, like he has all like the death card is totally like filled up on Michael's side, and Loomis is in fair in like he's valid in his points of being concerned and making sure everyone else understands, but still people take him very lightly. They don't want to hear it. Yeah, they're like, oh, they roll their eyes, and I'm just like, oh, what makes you like at all like it makes no sense to still feel that way. Like I get it, maybe doubting him in the very first one, but now like no, it's unnecessary. And I was just like, I'm frustrated with that. I'm also frustrated still with the cops. Like,
I think the cops. That's one of the things I liked in this movie.
Yeah,
compared to Friday the 13th.
They were quicker on like jumping on to help him, but it still was like there shouldn't have been everyone in the police department dead. Like in that building, like there should have been like Haddonfield should have protocol, like especially for Halloween. Like if you have that many like disasters on Halloween, you need to be prepared. Like this is just now like, okay, where's your money and resources going to?
But I will give the police points and the movie points for writing it this way. Your typical Friday the 13th movie. The cops don't believe that that Jason is going to be a threat. In this movie, when Loomis shows up in town and he tells them Mike Myers is coming and you better be ready, their first reaction is, shut your mouth, you're an idiot. But within 5 minutes, they're on board. They suddenly realize, geez, we can't take the chance that this is not true. Yeah, they very quickly are on board with we need to protect the city. And additionally, the first two movies, I thought, it's in Haddonfield, but you just saw little bits of it. I don't think they really established the town as a full character. And in this one I do. The police are on board, and then the guys at the local bar hear what might be coming.
Yeah.
And the local bar guys, for better or worse, they get in their pickup trucks, they get their shotguns, and we're like, we're on patrol. We're going to be on the lookout.
Coming from a small town in Ohio, that's exactly how small towns in Midwest actually do. Like, they'll be like, I mean, we have volunteer firefighters, we had 2 police officers, that was it, and it was on everybody else to, like, if you saw something, you called and you reported it. No, you hear something crazy going on, like, all right, let's go take care of our...
To me, that was such a change of pace from what you expect in a horror movie, that I remember seeing that in the theaters going, that's a nice surprise.
Yeah, and it's actually true to a small town.
Yeah, that was good. I also like the fact that by this point, the very first Halloween movie was more of a thriller, not so blood and gore. And then they started veering towards blood and gore because that's what the audience demanded.
Right.
And the thing I kind of appreciated about this one was they found a line to walk in that tons of people get killed. But in a Friday the 13th movie, it's all about watching every single person, exactly how they got killed and how brutal it is. And in Halloween 4, I want to say the majority of the kills happen off screen. You are wandering around.
The after effect.
You're wandering around, wondering where Michael Myers is, and then all of a sudden there's some dead body who's twisted and mangled in some way. That it accomplishes both things. On the one hand, you get the gore, but it lets it play in your mind, where you have to go, "What did he do to this guy?" So I appreciated that. My favorite bits. Again, I'll keep comparing to Friday the 13th because it's the closest similar project. Jason. He's an unstoppable killing machine, and it's magical, and we don't know why. And we don't really seem to care. It's just taken for granted. But in Halloween, they always play up that there's something...
Like family. Well, Loomis is always talking about, like, how family... Like, there's family undertones with, like, he's always coming after the family.
Yeah. Well, but I was going to say that there's something mystical about him, but they don't take it for granted. Loomis is always talking it up. Like, how is this happening? We don't just ignore the fact that a guy who should be dead keeps coming back. And so they will play with that. There's a sequence where they are outside, and then Mike Myers pops up over there. And then they look over there, and there's a Mike Myers over there. And there's a Mike Myers over there.
Like it's all surround.
And when I first saw it in the theaters, I remember going, holy crap, they're going for something crazy here. What is it? There's multiple Mike Myers? My mind was blown. Now they almost immediately do a take back on that.
Hey, don't shoot! Oh, that was great. You thought it was me, didn't you?
They'd kind of do like, psych. But for that one moment, my mind was blown. And then they did a take back, and you're like, you sons of bitches. But it was fun. So,
Case in point, like the little girl that he's going after is in the drugstore and sees the same mask hanging up in the where the Halloween masks are.
Likewise, talking about the Halloween store, you have the little girl Jamie finding a costume just like Michael Myers wore in the very first movie. First movie starts with Mike Myers putting on a little clown outfit, and then we see it through his point of view, through the mask. We see him go into another room and stab his sister to death. And so they have her pick up this costume, and you can tell she's just vibing on it. And that's, again, another good, just creepy, well, what's going on kind of thing. That's good. And then they do a lot of killing, but again, a lot of it's off screen. And when they do have something happen on screen, I never got the feeling it was about, let's show you something horrifically gory. Sometimes it was, but sometimes it would be about staging a chase sequence or like more of a straight up fight sequence, which was kind of cool.
I though have to say, and it has to be mentioned, that this is finally where we see Michael Myers the way that I remember Michael Myers. Like, I remember I hadn't seen the first one probably when I was like 10 or 11, so it was about 30 years ago. But this is the Michael Myers in this movie, like the way that his body type is how I remember Michael Myers and how I always picture Michael Myers. This big, lumbering, like bigger than life, like guy. Not this thin, gaunt, like almost Norman Bates type in a pair of overalls and a mask, which is what the first one, yeah, the first and really the second one have him as this like thinner guy. And that really threw me. I remember seeing that the first time. But this one, I'm like, oh, okay. Now he has this like weird like walk that he does where he's like almost like dragging his like feet, and then like it's just, oh, it's so creepy. And he's so tall, and like he's a big guy, like he's super muscular, like he's big, he's a big dude. And that's how I always remember Michael Myers. When we watched even like the after like commentary and stuff, they were talking about how like this is now where they use a stunt guy as Michael Myers, because they had him be able to do the stunts, like fall, like climbing up a roof and falling and like doing more of his own stunt. Like instead of having someone else come in and stand in and do it, like why not hire the stunt man to be Michael Myers? And that's how that's his body type of how I always picture. So I was like, oh, there he is. There's and his walk in the first two is very like swift. There's no like slowly like I'm this boogeyman coming after you. It's like he is a boogeyman, but like it's different. His walk is even different. And
I want to point out something before I forget too, that I think this is more of a production thing, but it made me curious. So at the very beginning, Mike Myers escapes from his ambulance. Everyone else in the ambulance is dead. The people from the hospital are not very concerned. They think Mike Myers' body just got thrown free from the crash. And Loomis is like, no, we need to get to Haddonfield. We need to get to Haddonfield right now. So he gets in a car and he drives to Haddonfield, stops at a gas station where Mike Myers has killed everybody. Again, you don't see it happen. You come to the aftermath. He does see Mike Myers in the gas station. The gas station also has a little diner. And there's a little confrontation with Mike Myers. Through the whole thing, I was very distracted by the fact that the wall in this diner was covered with pictures of Abraham Lincoln. And I'm pretty sure it was not a plot choice. I think they just picked a location with a diner that had a ton of pictures of Abraham Lincoln, but I just couldn't stop. I'm like, why? What is happening?
But it did
here?
remind me, though, that Abraham Lincoln is from Illinois, and
Yeah.
that is Haddonfield, Illinois.
Maybe that was it. Maybe that
And
was their thing.
I don't think he was from Haddonfield, but maybe he was like, maybe Abraham Lincoln like ate there. No, I'm just
If it
joking.
was a choice in production, they overplayed their hand a bit because I was just like, why? Why is this? Is this the link? Is this the place where Lincoln stopped to get gas when he came through town? I don't
It was
understand.
his favorite diner.
So my other favorite part is they got to get the kid and they got to get her safe. So they take her to the sheriff's house for safekeeping, and then Loomis. I can't remember why he went out, but he left them there, and I remember thinking, yes, this is the time to go get ice cream. What are you doing? Everyone should be in the house. Aside from the little girl, she has a babysitter who is kind of the stand-in for the more, the adult victim.
The Jamie.
And her boyfriend is at the sheriff's house messing around with the sheriff's daughter. And she, needless to say, is not happy about that, but that's where you get your requisite TNA scene for the movie. But it was very strange because they do the TNA scene, and she's mostly dressed in like sexy clothes, like a t-shirt. A t-shirt.
Not sexy clothes. It's a t-shirt.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
And that's it.
And no pants. She was answering doors for trick-or-treaters with no pants.
Like, why are you giving candy to little children in just a t-shirt, no bra? Like,
and her shirt is says something like "Cops do it
by the book."
by the book," and it's like. She has an overprotective father, but for some reason he lets her wear this raunchy shirt. He's telling the boy later on, like, don't you mess with my daughter.
Are you, like, you're coming down on the boy? I would be, like, telling my daughter, go get a pair of pants on. Why are you walking around with just a shirt? Like,
but then they do the sex scene. It's very quick. She takes her shirt off, and again, in most horror films, you get a full 5 to 10 seconds of nakedness for the girl. And in this one, her boobs came in at the bottom a little bit, and then that was it. Like, that was it. Like, there was not that much nudity, and then the sex scene is cut off almost immediately, and we were both like, that's pretty PG-13 for what they would normally do. And all I can think is, I wonder if it had something to do with that the lead character was like a 10-year-old girl, and that it's uncomfortable. Like, no. She's the one in an adult movie, but at the same time, I think at some level, I'm almost subconsciously, you might want to be a little bit more respectful, a little less, like, dirty, just because you got a kid in the movie. That's all I could think.
You need to clarify, though, the girl that you're talking about, the girlfriend or whatever, like, she's not 10.
Oh, no. Well, you have, Jamie, the little girl, she's the center. She's who Michael's after. Mm-hmm. Normally in this film, you would not have a child. It would be all teenagers, and they'd all take their clothes off, and they'd all get killed. And I just had this feeling that, one, they were going for something slightly more...
PG-13.
Well, not PG-13, but that much smarter than Friday the 13th.
Well, there was, like, hardly any cut. Like, I don't even remember
there's no cursing.
Swearing.
Again, violence off camera, so I think maybe they were trying to be a little... I don't know, somehow more responsible, even though it's a slasher movie.
Well, they were even saying, too, with the violence, like, Michael Myers, like, the guy playing Michael Myers kept telling her, like...
Oh, yeah.
He would always take his mask off whenever he was around her, and he would always be like, this is just a mask, I don't want you... He was really, not wanting her
From the production stuff we watched.
Yeah, he, like, really didn't want her to be afraid of him, and, like, afraid at all. Like, he was just like, this is a movie, like, so I think they were, like... more self-conscious about having, like, a child on the set,
He chases them all around the sheriff's house, and then they load the kid. They chases him on the roof, and then the girls get off the roof. One of them falls. I think it's 3 stories. She falls. Somehow he miraculously is on ground level, and that's one where I'm like, I actually just pictured Mike Myers having to run in the house and just hurry down the stairs. I know it's supposed to be more mysterious how he got down there, but I just picture him going like, oh my God, now I have to run. They put them in a truck with all the local people, all the local guys from the bar, and they get him out of there. And it seems like they've lost Michael Myers, only he's under the truck. I thought that was a pretty good.
Or he's below the.
Well, I think because at points they showed the whole truck, so somehow he has hidden himself on the vehicle, and then he gets up. He starts pulling guys out of the back and punching them stabbing them, throwing them out. And again, it's not Jason. It's not just yeek, yeek. It's like it's a good fight, like you would see in like a Schwarzenegger movie or something.
Yeah, they have a stunt man.
Yeah.
Who knows how to throw people appropriately.
But you would. I'm not expecting that in
Yeah.
a slasher movie. And then the truck ends up crashing. Everyone kind of by this point knows that that's where Mike Myers is. Every cop in the movie shows up, and they all light him up. Just everyone's shooting their guns at him. They drop him, and then his little niece, wearing the costume he wore when he was a kid, comes up to him and looks down his body and touches his hand. And you're like...
He kind of like holds it.
And then they go...
Grabs his hand.
Yeah, and they're like, get away from him! And I think that's when he gets back up. That's right. They shoot him a couple times. That happens. He gets up. Then they unload on him, and he falls into some sort of shaft in the ground. Disappears. Seems like he can't possibly have survived that many gunshots, which is stupid because of course he will.
It's Michael
but
Myers.
but it's enough to end the movie where you go, well, he's done. And then they go back to the house. They go have Jamie back home. Her mom's upstairs getting, I think, a bath ready for her or something. And then I love this ending. We return to basically the beginning of Halloween, where the first movie, where you see from Jamie's point of view of the camera, the mask goes on. We're watching through her eyes. She gets a pair of scissors, and you see her walk into where her mom is. And again, in the first movie, you see Mike Myers stab his sister. In this case, you just see her come up on her mom, and then they cut away. You hear screaming. And then everyone runs to the bottom of the staircase, and then you see the little girl at the top in the Mike Myers, the original clown costume, with the bloody scissors and blood everywhere. And then, this is horrible, I feel so bad, because Dr. Loomis, through all these movies, he's just the one who's trying to stop it. He wants to save Jamie. I mean, before that, he wanted to save Laurie Strode. And he just looks up, and he's just seeing a recreation of what he saw in that first movie. Mm-hmm. And that actor, he's great.
Yeah.
You just see him, he just loses it. He's just screaming like, no, 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 no. He wants to kill her, and they're like, no, you can't kill her.
I don't know, because he even wanted to save Michael, like
little
kid Michael.
Initially.
That's why he worked so hard with him in the home. You know, like trying to like get through to him and to help him. So he was trying to help that whole family. Like,
even though this is not on the par with the first Halloween movie, to me, up to this point, this was one of the greatest moments, because the first one, the big moment is Mike Myers falls out a window and he just disappears. What has happened to him? But in this case, part 4 ends wrapping right back around to where we started in part 1. We're literally the same imagery from the beginning of the first movie. Loomis defeated this guy who's been the Rock through all these movies, trying to keep people on track to stop Mike Myers. Looking up, seeing that kid, and you can see that he just is like, oh my God, I have failed. And he just no! And it's like perfect. And at the same time, and then we cut to black on that. And again, it's a great cliffhanger, because you go, well, where do you go forward with that? You killed Mike Myers, and now a 10-year-old? Are we going to wait till she grows up? What?
Right.
What? And I remember watching that going, that's a genius ending. I don't know how you pick up from there. And then I watched the next movie and realized you can't. You have to walk stuff back. The next movie, that was some of my biggest problems with the next movie, is that they have to kind of go, well, now, I know what we said.
go with us on this one.
We're going to change it. And that pissed me off. But for this one, just going on 4 alone,
Yeah.
oh my God, great ending.
And you do have to give nod. I really think that Rob Zombie had the same effect when he probably watched that for the very first time. He probably thought the same thing you did. Oh my God! Like, you know, like his mind was just blown, because that's exactly what he does within his
With
remakes.
Laurie.
Yeah. And with Laurie, and it's like what he does with his characters in his versions are so like it. Like I kept seeing like how he was taking from 4, and he took, you know, like, and how like it really is like a homage to, like, you could tell like these are probably his favorite movies, and she puts the mask on, and and that's what like it gave me chills seeing the little girl, because I was like, oh, like I totally, because I've seen those. And
I should say too, the first film I felt like I was watching like a real movie, where there's thoughts about the shots and getting it to look super cool and nice, but like artistic. That's the word I'm looking for, artistic. This one felt more like we're now making product, but the director they picked was one who knew how to make good product. He's a fan of the series, so he knew how to handle it. And the writer, I think he said he only had a couple weeks to knock the script out.
Yeah, because of the strike.
Yeah,
About to happen.
yeah, there's going to be a writer's strike. And I think he did a really, again, it's a slasher movie, so you don't exactly have to write Gone with the Wind.
Right.
But I think he came up with some solid concepts.
Yeah.
Some good bits to play. Again, and then he had an ending that I thought just nailed it.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
how many, we've been rating on cat beans. Cats have beans on their thing. She started, so how many out of, a cat can have 5 beans, so how many beans?
I'm going to say 5.
5 beans?
5 out of 5. Yep, 5 beans.
I feel almost guilty because I think it's not the original, but I liked it that much. I remember going to see it. I was in college, and the papers were like, "This sucks," blah blah blah, and I was like, "Have you ever watched any of the other slasher movies? This is
it
above."
Actually it has a storyline where a lot of slasher movies don't really have a lot of there's not a lot of meat on that bone. They're just really trying to make money with a few slasher shots.
And again, the fact that this had less slashing in it,
Yeah.
a little less gore, and it still worked really well. I think that's good. I will give it 5 beans as well. I would say this is maybe my guilty pleasure of the Halloween movies, but I dug it. So that is Halloween Part 4, Return of Michael Myers. I believe 5 is The Revenge of Michael Myers, or maybe Michael Myers makes another sandwich. I don't remember. But again, 4, 5, and 6 kind of make up a trilogy.
He had a sandwich in Part 2.
That's why I said he made another one. He had in that first one, he was like, you know what? I like ham.
Right.
Have some ham.
God.
So that is it for our review of Halloween 4. Halloween 5 is up next. And happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Bye.